Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of First Impression Sports Talk here on Fluent Media. Again, I am Jasmine Pollock, and today we're going to be talking about the NBA playoffs so far. So, we're going to talk about the latest NBA news. So, the Phoenix Suns got swept last night by the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves haven't won a playoff series since 2004. Guys, I mean, that was a decade ago. I mean, that's crazy. And that's when Kevin Garnett was on the team. I mean, that was a different time of basketball, obviously. But congratulations. I want to give congratulations before we dissect the game and dissect what I think the future is going to have for the Suns. Shout out to shout out to Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. They have a solid team right now, a young team, and then you have some veterans on there that are helping this young team. But Anthony Edwards is becoming a problem in the NBA. His explosiveness, the way he's able to just defend, the way he's able to score, and now he's really getting into his bag. And this is astonishing seeing a player like this, dominate. And when we look at, let's talk about the points here. So we had Karl Anthony Towns, he had 28 points. Jaden McDaniels, 18. Anthony Edwards had 40. And then, of course, Mike Conley had 10. But you can see these the youth is starting to show itself. We're starting to see these young guys really start to dominate in basketball and really show why they should be, in conversations of who's going to be the next generation after, a Steph Curry, a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant, start to retire. We're starting to see a new trend now. But I want to talk about the Suns. The question is, who is what's worse, the Suns losing this, getting swept, or is it Minnesota? I'm not going to take anything away from Minnesota because Minnesota has earned their right to get this win in this series, and they earned the right to move on because they were the better team for 4 straight games. They got the sweep done. But for the Suns, this is a problem. This is a major, major problem because you built this team for the past 2 years to win a championship, rather. You get Kevin Durant over there. You have Booker already there. You had Chris Paul, and you didn't get anything out of it. You did go to a championship. You faced the Bucks, but it didn't. Obviously the Bucks won that series. That's when Giannis Antetokounmpo won his first championship. But when you bring someone like Kevin Durant, so many people say, when you bring Kevin Durant in, you expect to win a championship. When outside of Golden State has Kevin Durant won a championship? And I'll say this. I used to be one of the biggest Kevin Durant fans, even though my favorite player is LeBron James. But when Kevin Durant was in OKC, I was like, man, when LeBron retires, I'm probably going to, root for KD. When he went to Golden State, that changed my whole view about him, changed my whole view about the NBA. And it really upsetted me because I thought that, hey, you really went the easiest way instead of working towards that, instead of building your legacy. And now that has ruined his legacy by him going to Golden State. We say, oh, yeah, he won the championships. He got the MVPs. I get that. But after that, he hasn't done anything since Golden State. And when we look at the all-time, I'm not saying Curry the player is better than Kevin Durant the player, but legacy-wise, Curry has a way better legacy than Kevin Durant. And in the history books, he's going to be above Kevin Durant because he won before Kevin Durant got there. He won, obviously, during Kevin Durant, and he won after Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is still trying to find his way back to the finals. He hasn't been back to the finals. This is the second team he's been on since Golden State. We all remember the Brooklyn saga. Well, I don't know what it was, but it was a debacle rather. And you had Kyrie, you had James Harden on that team. You lost then. That team blew up and broke up. Then you go to the Suns with Book and all these guys. And then last season you get Bradley Beal in the offseason. What did that do? Let's look at their points. So Durant had 33 points. I expect any team Durant's on, I expect Durant to be averaging 25 plus a game. That's an expectation of him. Okay, but then we got Booker. He had 49 in game one. Now you're in game four. You're playing catch up at this point, and it didn't amount to anything. And then your investment, who you brought in, Bradley Beal, only had 9 points. That's not going to cut it. And when I look at this Suns team, the Suns team has not one leader. They don't have a leader. They have a guys, oh, I'm going to get my points. I'm going to get my points. I'm going to get my points. There's no cohesiveness with the team. When we look at championship, God that is the leader, that is the top dog, there's a cohesion, there's a balance in the team. The Suns did not have balance. And I was one of those people you can look at on my YouTube page, First Impression Sports Talk. I've talked about it multiple times where I felt that the Suns were not going to do anything. The Suns were not going to be a team to be, oh man, like you're afraid. Of course, they were going to be a playoff team. I mean, with the caliber offensive talent on the team, of course they're going to be a playoff team. But when we talk about winning a championship and having a deep playoff run, no. Now, what is going to happen with the Suns? Honestly, I don't know. The Suns organization has put so much money these past 2 years with Kevin Durant, with Bradley Beal, with Devin Booker. I think if I'm not mistaken, it amounted to like $1 billion or something like that of how much money they have accumulated these past 2 years for these players on their team. It's ridiculous. But what is it all for? These players are investments. They are investments. All right, I'm giving Kevin Durant because we saw what he can do. We saw what he is. We know what he is. We know he can still score with anybody. We know that. But what are we getting out of him? Devin Booker, yes, he had a great game, points-wise, but that's in a closeout game where you're still losing. Bradley Beal, you traded for him. You got a lot of you put a lot of money in him. You only get 9 points in a closeout game. That's a problem. That's a problem. And this team is not built to win a championship. They're not built. I don't know what they can possibly do. I mean, the scoring factor is there. It's just there's lack of defense and lack of leadership. That's just what it is. And for Phoenix Suns fans, it's like, where do we go from here? I mean, there's been conversation. Do you trade Kevin Durant to where? For what? You know what I'm saying? But now we're starting to see these teams, start to build their teams. You look at what the Denver Nuggets just did, how they were able to build up their team. They just got healthy. You look at Minnesota. They're building up a team. They're building up a young team with a young star player in Anthony Edwards. And now he's becoming a problem. He's becoming a star in this league. So shout out to the Timberwolves. I am really excited for them, and I really hope they have a deep playoff run. This gives them that experience. And this is not a fluke. It's not like they're beating just some random people. They're beating a Phoenix Suns team that was built to win a championship. They're beating a healthy Phoenix Suns team. You're playing against the Kevin Durant, who Anthony Edwards said is his favorite player of all time. You swept him. So now you're the guy now. Now people know, okay, we saw what this kid can do in the playoffs. You got to keep that going. Of course, you have Mike Conley, who's been in many battles for over a decade. So you have someone who knows that, knows the atmosphere, knows how to win, knows how to do particular things because he's been there and done that. But for the Phoenix Suns, the future does not look bright. There's a lot of money being put in these players, and they're not delivering. And I don't see them getting to a championship anytime soon. The next series we're going to talk about is the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, this series is interesting. Obviously, it's probably the most interesting out of all the series on both sides or both conferences because we're tied 2-2. Mavericks could easily be up 3-1 in this series, but we're here in this moment. And there's an interesting stat that I want to say to the audience is the Los Angeles Clippers so far in the playoffs are 2-0 without Kawhi Leonard, but 0-2 with him. It's an interesting dynamic because Kawhi Leonard is your star player. He's the face of the franchise right now, and they're winning. They win without him. That's interesting. But let's talk about this game. Now, game 4 is very interesting, and they were the Clippers were up by 30 plus points. Now the the Mavericks were making a run to get back, and Kyrie Irving is that man. He knows how to make magic happen with the basketball. He is one of the most skilled players that the game has ever seen. And I cannot help, I know everyone saw it, of him making that layup when everyone's trying to block him. I mean, you had Paul George, I think Zubac was there, I think, and then you had James Harden trying to block, and then he's able to control and get that layup in. It was ridiculous. But to seal the game, Paul George hits a three to seal the game and, stop the Mavericks from making a run. This series is going to go down to 7. Obviously, it has to go down to 7. And I think that it's going to come down to how well the Mavericks, can start these games off. Because we look at game 1, they didn't start the game off particularly well, and that's when they got blew off the floor, in game 1. And it's the same thing here. I think the Mavericks got to get back into their bag. They got to start, and I think what I saw in game 1 is they were so dependent upon Luka. And we know Luka is he's the face, and he's the workhorse of this team. But you have Kyrie, you have guys that can get you points, and I think they need to have a more steady offense at times, and it's kind of sporadic. When we look at the Mavericks, it's like we have one game where it's like, man, they look bad, and then in game 2 they come out, then game 3 they come out. So I think the Mavericks need to settle down, and they need to get back into what they were doing and really get high percentage stuff. You're just shooting threes all over the place instead of just settling down, getting to your shots, and making making high percentage shots. I think that's what they need to do. Far as the Clippers, I mean, if you're getting 33 points out of Paul George, Zubac's giving you 13, James Harden's giving you 33, and the bench, Terrence Mann giving you 11, Norman Powell giving you 11. That's a big deal. You got your bench guys coming off and giving you some quality points, and then you got your 2 star players each have 33 points. That's a big deal. Whereas we look at the Mavericks, you have Luka had 29. He still had a good game. You had Derrick Jones Jr., he had 14. P.J. Washington had 10. But Kyrie had 40. You got to start off early. I think when you have so basically we're looking at 2 and 2. You're looking at Paul George, James Harden versus Luka and Kyrie, right? You're looking at the 2 guys. Those players are going to cancel each other out. So for Luka cannot score in that game under 30 points because you have James Harden had 33, Paul George had 33. Kyrie having 40 is fine, but I would expect Luka to have 30 plus in that game. The game would have been a lot more interesting. But the Clippers get the W. They head back home. They have a chance to maybe, win in 6. They have a chance, but either team, we're tied, so either team can win in 6. But I expect Dallas to really settle down into their bag and really, get to their spots. And I expect Luka has to have a 30. He has to score 30 every game in this type of series for sure, because we know Kyrie is going to do what he needs to do. But far as that, I think they have to settle down, and Luka has to get back to scoring those high percentage points. Let's get into the Los Angeles Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. Now, again, like I said before, LeBron is my favorite player, so I was expecting them to get swept, but they said no. And today they do play in Denver on a game 5. They're down 3-1. This is a huge game for the Lakers because are the Lakers going to continue the series? Are they going to really compete? And I want to pull up game 4, because we're going to talk about it. This series has been really annoying. And I'm going to say this why. The Lakers were up in all 4 games. This could have easily went the other way. It could have easily went Lakers getting the sweep. Even last in the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers, if you look at it, I think, to me, the Lakers are just getting outcoached. They're getting outcoached bad. And it seems like, and it's not even just outcoached, they're not finishing the game. They're not continuing the game. I remember, I don't know if it was in game 3 or, no, it was in game 2. Lakers are up by 20 plus points. it was game 2. And in the third quarter, they went 8 to 10 possessions without scoring. That's the problem. Not 1 point, not one layup, not a jumper, not a three, nothing. That is a problem. Lakers could have easily won all 4 of these games and get a sweep. Easily. Easily. But what are we doing? We're playing around in the second half. We're not finishing the games. We're not making adjustments. We're not doing that. But in game 4, they did what they needed to do. So let's look at this. LeBron had 30. Rui Hachimura had 9. Okay. Anthony Davis had 25. D'Angelo Russell had 21. Austin Reeves had 21. If you can get D'Lo and Austin Reeves to give you 9 plus, or not 9 plus, 21 points over. If you can get that out of them while AD and Braun are getting 8 points, you are going to win the game. You're going to probably win the series. Because, for one, I look at the Nuggets. Look at the Nuggets score. Michael Porter Jr. got 27. Jokic is going to get his points. Look at these numbers. I mean, 14 and 14 and 33. Come on. That's ridiculous. Then Caldwell Pope had 14. Jamal Murray had 22. Now, there's big news that Jamal Murray is questionable for tonight's game due to I believe, hamstring. So we'll see about that. That's a big deal because he's been dealing with that all year. But for the Lakers, your guys got to get points. Your guys like D'Lo and Austin Reeves have to score over 20 points in a series like this. You have to. And then Rui Hachimura, he also has to. I'm not expecting Rui to give you 30, but he might because he's done that. But he needs to be over 15 points. You have to get your scoring in. And it's hard to stop Jokic because he's just a big body, but put pressure on him on defense. Put him in foul trouble. Make him defend. We know he's going to get his points. He's going to get his rebounds. We know he's going to get his assists. You got to force him into uncomfortable situations on the defensive end. And they have to get this done. I think if the Lakers continue, if they found the code where Austin Reeves and D'Lo have to get the scoring in, they found something, and they can beat the Nuggets. They can very much so beat the Nuggets, 100%. But they have to. It has to be in 7. And, we just hope. I hope the Lakers win. And there's no disrespect to Denver because I think Denver's a very great skilled basketball team. But the Lakers could have won the series easily. They could have. They're just not finishing the games. They're not making the right adjustments. You don't really have to make adjustments if you're up by 20 plus points. And you're up every game. You're up at halftime every game. You need to really finish the game. Finish the game. You don't have to shoot all these threes. Get easy layups. Get easy jumpers. It's simple. Now, the final game we're going to talk about is do I want to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks and the Pacers? No, because I think that series is pretty much over. Giannis is injured. Lillard is injured. Chris Middleton, he left the game with an injury. There's a lot going on, and I do think the Indiana Pacers will win this series. They're up 3-1. I mean, your star players are injured. That's bound to, happen where guys are, it's going to be inevitable. So that's a big deal. We'll definitely see. But I see some comments here. Let's see. So I see a hey, hi Josh, how are you? Easy McQueen, let's see what you have to say. Chill, do you think Jokic is a top 4 center of all time? What he's doing, yes. I think he is. I think far as the offensive side of the ball, he's a very dominant offensive big, and how his IQ is ridiculous, and he's a big body. I mean, this guy, it's hard to defend him because he's so big. He's able to see over people. He's able to get in his lanes and get those guys open and pass the ball. And then even last year, I'm seeing Jokic score these points. And 1 second, it's frozen. Okay, I'm back. So everyone is saying that, last year I saw in the playoffs where Jokic is shooting a 3. He shoots a 3 like that. It's like, how did he make that? It's hard to defend someone like that. So I don't expect the Lakers to just shut Jokic down. It's impossible. I just don't think it's possible. What I do think you need to do towards him is put him in uncomfortable positions on defense. Now back to Easy McQueen's thing. Do I think he's a top big of all time? Yes, 100%. Um OKC. What do I have to say about OKC? I think OKC is very good. My concern for OKC is well, I guess I'll use my computer. So the issue is with OKC is the youth aspect of it. I think they're a very good team. I think they're very young, and I think that um, Alexander is definitely going to win MVP. I think he's been a dog all year, and I think they've earned their right to be the number one seed in the West, and it's not easy because the West is a very deep team, conference. They have a lot of stars over there, a lot of teams that are really good. But my concern is the youth aspect. Can they get back? Can they go win it all? Can they overcome a lot of things? Because on the road, you're gonna probably either play you're gonna play some guys. You're gonna play some guys that can go score. You're playing a Pelicans team without Zion, a Pelicans team that's still just not there yet. They haven't gotten to that point yet, and I just think and I see your next comment. I don't think it's a negative thing, but of course, I agree with you saying everyone had to do something for the first time. Yes, 100%. But when we're talking about that, it's imperative to have um some having a veteran on your team is important. You look at a lot of and especially the coaches, right? You look at that. It's important to have that. When you look at Jokic and Jamal Murray winning last year, they had to get healthy. But they've been in the league for quite some time. It wasn't just Jokic just became that. Of course, you have to develop that. But OKC, this is the first time that we're seeing them like this in this moment. This is the first time we're seeing them with Chet, all of them all of these guys together. So of course they got the number 1 seed. Respectfully, I think they're a good young team, but when it gets deep in the playoffs, can they withstand that when you go play a Denver who's been there? If you play the Lakers, who's been there? If you're playing a team like now, we talk about the Timberwolves. They're young, but guess what? They have Mike Conley who's been battling. He's been battling for years. He's a veteran guy that's been there for the longest time. He's been in the league and he knows how these things happen. So he's able to bring that maturity to them in that locker room. Say, look, I've been here. I played against him. I know how to things like that. And you put that together, boom, you have that. So that's my only concern. If they're able to do that, then I think they can go all the way. But to me, I think a Western team is going to win it this year. I think when I look at the East right now, there's a lot of injuries on the East side of there's a lot of injuries on the East side and I think that of course you have Boston as the number 1 seed over there, but Boston, I'm still trying to figure out Boston in some capacity. Let's see. Hayward and Biyombo and Shai has played with numerous awesome vets. Of course, I get your point. I'm just saying, plus OKC versus Denver 3-1 this season is all I'm saying. Okay, 100%. I agree. That's fair, but that's respectfully so. But it's just the moment of when you're the guy now. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not knocking OKC because I think they've earned their right to be the number 1 seed. That's what I'm saying. It's a tough Western Conference. We've seen multiple times where we think a team is hot and then boom, then they're gone, and then that adversity hits, what happens if a team, punches them in the mouth? Punches them in the mouth. What are you going to do in a team that can match you, in many different ways? So, and they're going to either play whoever wins out of the Clippers and Mavericks, which is going to be a very good thing for them. And I think that if they get a healthy Clippers team, and I know I said earlier that the Clippers are undefeated when Kawhi is not playing, but I think if you get a team like the Clippers, I just think you got to be on your game. You got to continue to play at your highest level because Ty Lue is a very good coach, and I think the Clippers do have a team that can compete. Mavericks are still trying to figure things out, but if OKC is able to beat these teams, what's going to stop them? Who's going to stop them from getting to the finals? It's just the point of getting them over the hump and when, having that, that mental fortitude to continue to go, to continue to push, because now you're the guys. Now you're the team to beat in the West because you're the number 1 seed. So we're definitely going to see. I think Shai is going to win MVP. He deserves the MVP. He's been the best player all year. I don't see anyone else. I think, they say, oh, Jokic, Shai got his team the number 1 seed. The way Jokic got his team the number 1 seed last year, they're healthy, they're deep. Shet is coming into his own. So I think he deserves that. They deserve the number 1 seed. I just continue that, keep steamrolling, continue, because it's going to get tougher. You're playing a Pelicans team that's debacle. They're all over the place. That's all I'm saying. But before we go, I'm going to talk a little bit about the East. I talked about them a little bit before. I just think, like I said, I think a Western team is going to win it this year. When we talk about the Celtics, everyone's telling me the Celtics and all that. Celtics are good, but there's still something missing. I think they're gonna beat the Miami Heat, but honestly, I don't frankly know, because the Heat could come out the way they did in Game 2 and do what they did. I know they lost at home, but they do play today. But I think when we look at Boston, the 2 superstars is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, star players, 100%. But my issue is I've seen many times where Tatum disappears. There's more times of him, and we know he's a talented young guy. We know that, but the problem is when that moment counts, when it's time for you to be that guy, when the game is going back and forth, I've seen some times where it's like, what is he doing? He goes on these cold flurries and things like that. and Jaylen Brown too. These are your star players. These are guys that you're expecting to deliver to deliver you a championship. That's the goal for the Celtics right now, is championship. They're trying to get back to that winning culture. And I think that they have a team. I'm not saying they don't, but it's just a matter of, can they win it? And I think right now they're the best team in the East right now. Of course, I see the Knicks. The Knicks are peaking. I see them peaking. But when we look at the East right now, the East is so depleted. So for the Celtics, what I fear for them is they could get to the finals, 100%. They could get to the finals because I think the Pacers are a good team, but I mean, if they run up on the Celtics, are you going to be able to withstand that? The same thing. Then you look at the Knicks. Is it only just going to be Jalen Brunson all the time? And I think Jalen Brunson is a dog. He is performing, 47. I mean, the dude is balling. Shout out to the Knicks, but is it just going to be Jalen Brunson? That's the question for them. Whereas the Celtics overall, if you look at all the teams in the East, is the best team. But what happens when you get to the finals and you play one of them tough Western teams? That's all I'm saying for Boston. I just hope Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can really will their team to a championship. What happens if you're going back and forth? Let's say you play a Jokic and you going back and forth. Can you hit those shots? Can you make those moments count to will your team to a championship? That is yet to be seen. I've just seen many times that the Celtics team has been good. They've been good for the past 5 years, but it's getting over that hump. They went to the finals to play Curry, and that's when Curry won the championship after Durant left and things like that. What happened? It was evenly matched. It wasn't like, Durant was there. It was Clay, Curry, then you had Jalen. You had you had Tatum, you had Smart, you had a team. You had guys, you were pretty much evenly matched, but Curry just, they just did what they needed to do. But we'll see. I think this NBA playoffs has been, it's been interesting. Far as the Western side has been a lot more interesting than the Eastern side because, I'm upset that Milwaukee's that depleted. I'm upset that Jimmy Butler's not playing. I'm upset because you want to see the star players. You want to see the best against the best, and we're not really getting that in the East. Whereas the West, we're getting that. We're seeing that. We're seeing, the best of the best playing each other, and whoever the better teams are winning. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm really excited to see what Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to do because that is a shocking team. Not to me. I think a lot of people are shocked. And I don't understand why because I mean. Anthony Edwards has been doing this all year. It's just what's shocking about it is this kid's doing this in the playoffs, and it's not like he's having a game where every game this kid is averaging 30 plus. He's balling in front of the guy who he called an idol. He put him out like you're gone. I'm getting you out the way. Now whoever they either play out the Lakers or the Nuggets. So we'll see. I think they're going to be of course they're going to be well rested. They're going to be waiting to see who's going to win the series. But if I'm in the West right now, the team I'm afraid of is the Timberwolves. I'm afraid of them because they don't care. Everybody's looking at, of course we're talking about OKC, but they're scary. They're another scary team that if Anthony Edwards can continue to do that and continue to play like that, and Karl Anthony Towns and them guys can do that, they're going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem. And I think that you don't sleep when you're playing the Timberwolves. That's all I'm saying. And I think when we look at the Suns, I don't know what the Suns were doing. I have no idea what they were doing. But they were sleeping. And they came in and the Timberwolves got those brooms out and they swept them. And that's a big deal, especially with the team that the Suns built, like I talked about before. But thank you, everyone, for your comments. Again, if you would like to follow me more closely, I have my own sports page, which is First Impression Sports Talk. I talk all sports, not just basketball. Just right now, I'm getting to basketball. This past week, I was so focused on my draft show for the NFL. So definitely tune into that. It's 3 hours long, so it's long. But I talk all sports from hockey to basketball, college basketball, football, all things. So I'm really excited for what's coming. The Lightning played the Panthers today because they're down 3-1 as well. I'm a huge Lightning fan because I live in Florida and I'm in the Tampa Bay area, and I hope the Lightning able to pull through. But that wraps up this episode of First Impression Sports Talk. I'll make sure the connection's better because that's the first time that's happened. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, for sure I could put it in the chat. Definitely, I could tell you guys, what my thing is. Let me put it in now. Yeah, so this is my YouTube First Impression Sports Talk. I do weekly content. I have a lot of guests on my show. Some of my good friends, Cole Brennan, Anthony Greenfield. I have a lot of people on there. So it's really exciting because I'm adding more to it. If you're willing to be a guest, I'm more than open. If you would like to come on the show, I am always open for people coming on my show. And just talking sports. I have my email and everything on my YouTube channel. Please tune in, subscribe, share it. I'm just, really excited. I love my show. I love my YouTube. And, this is something I've been building up for 3 years now. It's going on 4. So I'm just looking for anyone who wants to come on to talk anything. I don't care what it is. You can come on and talk. It just has to be about sports. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for your comments, and thank you all for your ideas and your opinions. I'm open. This is sports. Sports is supposed to bring people together, and I want to be one of those people to bring everyone together, for our sports. So that wraps up the show. See you guys next time. Next Monday, I'll be back on to probably talk about more basketball and either more things pertaining to whatever's going on in sports, because sports is always a day-to-day thing. So that wraps it up. See you guys next time.